Texter says, read the rules. Major League Baseball players cannot bet on baseball, period. Lifetime ban, cannot illegally bet on other sports. Commissioner discretion as to the penalty. Which
okay.
I guess, so in the case of the Padres infielder that we were talking about who gets the lifetime ban, he was betting on baseball.
On his games. That's the difference. If you bet on your games, you get banned for life. If you bet on baseball in general, you get banned for a year. If you get betting on other sports, it's up to Manfred.
And then there were 4 other players quietly announced by Major League Baseball who received 1 year suspensions.
Okay. So 1 year for betting on baseball.
So I ask again, when it comes to Major League Baseball, is there some sort of a wagering issue that is going on with it, or is it just happening to the entire United States of America when it comes to everybody gambling on everything? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because, when we talked about Porter, the basketball player, he was betting on himself to hit the unders.
Yeah.
So,
so he was not performing.
Yes. It's one thing.
Purposefully, yes.
It's one thing.
Or he just stinks and he knows it.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take the under on 2 rebounds because I suck.
But Coach, hey, I can't go in the game. My back's hurting. So, I mean, it is one of those things where you look at and you go, if a guy's betting on himself to do well, all right, maybe that's going to make him play better.
Okay, so they should only be able to wager on themselves to do well.
Yes.
And then,
right. Maybe they play harder that way. Yeah. It's weird that, but I get what,
I mean, I guess you could argue that with Pete Rose or whoever you want to argue it with. If you're betting on your team to win,
right,
then you can't throw games, essentially.
Right.
But the whole thing with that, Greg, is I've done this 1,000 times. If Pete Rose bets on the Reds 6 straight games, and then he doesn't, that is telling the Vegas bet makers something too.
The wise guys in this case, yes. Yeah.
So if you're not betting on your team to win, you are tacitly betting on them to lose.
What about props? Would it have been okay back in the day if Pete Rose had some sort of a 3-leg parlay or something?
That sounds like a big weekend. No, listen, I think I think Pete Rose should be allowed into baseball. I don't know. We've had that debate for literally generations, but unfortunately for Scheim, this is not going anywhere. These are going to happen. I'm just shocked they didn't announce it on Thursday right as the Trump verdict came.
Yeah, I don't know why it's unfortunately for me. It's not like sports betting's going anywhere either. That's here to stay at this point.
Well, it may if this continues.
No, it won't. They'll just keep banning players. These are all no-name players. They're never going to ban anybody of import. Look at Shohei Ohtani. They're going to sweep that under the rug. There's going to be a fall guy. They're never going to ban anybody of importance. They're just going to ban all these no-name guys.
And it seems like the no-name guys are going, all right, I don't make as much as I'm going to make in Major League Baseball, but maybe if I, have a couple bets and I hit big, that's like my, that's like my big payday. Maybe or you're just an addict and you're a gambling addict.
Okay, well, yeah, you could be an addict, or if you're doing, if they are doing what you're suggesting, then they're just dumb. Like to expect that you're going to get a bigger payday from hitting a wager. To what you're going to make playing in Major League Baseball is just absolutely stupid.
Yeah, but what about let's stop talking about the low-level names. Let's start talking about the superstars. Why, if I'm Aaron Judge, if I'm looking at Shohei Ohtani, I'm like, I could get away with this.
Yeah, but what's superstar? Why would a superstar risk $40 million that he's making a year versus a kid who's bouncing around and AA and AAA ball,
I don't know why.
Talking to Lou, those guys get paid.
Why does Scheim gamble? Like why do you gamble?
I don't make $40 million a year.
I know, but I mean, you hear about multi-millionaires who have a bit of a gambling problem or enjoy that thrill of it and want to get into it. So if they see Shohei Ohtani getting away with this was part of my lead, then what's going to stop them?
If you have a gambling problem, like if you're like a Jordan.
All I'm going to say, MLB has a massive problem on their hands.
No, I'm saying a superstar. If you're like you brought up Aaron Judge, right? If Aaron Judge is an absolute gambling addict like Jordan, like that's what he does, then no matter how much money he makes, he's just going to continue to bet.
Right.
So he could be one of those guys.
And he'll get away with it.
Well, I mean, he'll get away with it to a certain extent. I mean, because of who he is.
Look at Phil Mickelson. Look at Charles Barkley. Look at Michael Jordan. Those are guys that have probably combined lost $100 million.
Right, but those guys are pure right. And I don't know the guy, this guy in Major League Baseball, the Marcion guy or whatever his name is. Marciano. I don't know if he's just like Jordan and Barkley and those guys where they're just gambling addicts, or if he's like, maybe because I bounce around a AAA ball, if I'm up here and if I could put a little bit of money on myself and I hit, maybe I get a nice little payday. You know, he could be looking at it that way.
Yeah. The problem is that you don't often win. That ends up, as we learned in the case of Shohei's interpreter, who lost $41 million.
Can I?
And just to be clear, Curtis, Shohei didn't notice that $41 million missing at any point.
Honest error. He just trusts the guy that was his translator with his finances. I would also say, I know I can have a tinfoil hat on at times. I think they artificially adjust the success rates of these people's bets because, A, who the hell's going to have the evidence to combat what they're saying, and B, if this guy had hit 87% instead of 4%, there would be far more public outrage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so they're saying, oh, no, he was awful at it. He never won any of his bets, but he just kept doing it, and we kicked him out of the league forever.
But any gambler knows house always wins. Any gambler knows house always wins.
Shime does well.
Stop it. Over the long run, you're always houses. Big bank always takes little bank.
I got killed last night because I took the over on how much of the Chris Sale tribute video was going to show him rehabbing, and there was none of it in that thing last night, Curtis. None of it. But I mean, I don't know. Is your lead about the interpreter's numbers, or I mean?
Well, I mean, he's facing 33 years in prison.
Yeah.
So when the sentencing comes and goes, you're going to look at the biggest fall guy of all time if that actually happened. The most ride or die human being of all time. And I'm sick of hearing that there's a language barrier because for Shohei Ohtani, it's his interpreter who was taking the money. There's no language barrier between Shohei and Ippei.
Right.
Like those two speak the same language.
Right.
There's no language barrier. I just think when you look at this Padres infielder right now who's facing a lifetime ban, and if Shohei Ohtani was involved in the over $40 million that was lost.
But just to interrupt real quick, the guy wagered. We have to go back and look. He wagered like he lost 123 million, or he won 123 million, lost 170
something million.
Whatever, 174 million. Like, it's extraordinary that he was wagering that much and that Ohtani wouldn't know about it.
It makes no sense. And if Shohei is involved, then Shohei also probably has a bit of the gambling bug, and it is not going to go away.
Yeah.
So MLB, the problem that they have on their hands is if Shohei gets caught again doing this, there's no going back on the way that they put it all on this interpreter and then banned other players, lesser players in their league for life.
And Greg, the numbers are staggering, as you alluded to. The exact total was over $142 million. And that's what he lost. His total, he had $183 million of losing bets, $142 million of winning bets, the net loss of over $41 million. And this guy, Courtney, as you've been discussing accurately all morning and on this story, they were inseparable. What do you think they're talking about?
Right.
He's gambling almost $250 million.
And let's not forget that at first, Shohei spoke on this. Said that he was helping out his friend. It was not stolen.
Right.
So what is the true story? And let me just end by saying I'm very happy that Shohei is telling everybody that he has closure now. He has closure now that his good friend, his interpreter, is facing 33 years in prison.
He backed the truck right up over that dude.
Somebody got to go to jail, and it ain't going to be Shohei. Ain't going to be the breadwinner.
Yeah.
But it's 30. Courtney's right. It's 33 years that he is facing.
Yes.
So,
do you think the biggest fall guy of all time?
I can't think of a bigger one.
I mean, neither. 33 years?
Yeah.
How old is this guy? 30?
Yeah. Well, that's what he's looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, he might not get that, though.
You got to have a fall guy in the crew.
I would say Lee Harvey Oswald was a pretty big fall guy.
I mean, I'm a slip and fall guy.
That's true.
Shime.
Well done.
Back. This is Todd from Cambridge. Hey, Todd.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking the call. Hey, I think we're only looking at the surface here. We got to go to the main issue there. I don't care about the players who get suspended or get caught. What happens, and the day will come, when it turns out somebody actually fixed a game or rigged a game to lose or win or something like that? As a bettor, let's say I lost a couple $1,000 on that game. Who do I file a class action lawsuit against?
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Am I going after DraftKings? Am I going after the league? Who am I going after? Because that will happen one day.
Yeah.
I think you'll see. It's really a weird, dynamic because you have guys. You brought up Michael Jordan and you brought up Barkley, like the superstar players of their era who made a ton of money, and it's like, all right, they're gambling because it's the rush of it, right? We saw it in Last Dance. Jordan would gamble pitching quarters, right? So it's the rush of it. Would he ever gamble and throw a game, or does he just love the gambling aspect of gambling? Where I don't know if
I think the problem becomes or became when you're doing it illegally.
Yep.
You are doing it with, what would you call it? An unfriendly element. So when you get down and they are perhaps being overly aggressive,
backing you into a corner
and trying to collect, then your only choice might be to throw a game or to not perform like you could. That issue does not exist when it comes to the apps. Hence why people say nobody's going to come and break your leg if you lose money wagering with one of the apps. So